But for me, when I had a toddler and a baby, I was deep in the thick of alcohol addiction and definitely on more than one occasion wanted to drive into a brick wall. We were told to keep it light, but I was like, am I on the right show? Definitely came from a dark place where I was a reluctant parent. I didn't adapt to it well. I wanted to work and make a difference in the world, but yet I was stuck in a flat, like in the 1950s, where my boyfriend would go off to work. And the loneliness was so excruciating that I just convinced myself that my own kids would be better off without me. That's as intense as I'll get. I'm going to do hopeful stuff afterwards, but that's my intro.
Petra.
Hello.
Now, what little I know about your story is it's amazing. You were raised in a cult.
This is true.
And you had your first child at 22. Then you suffered severe postnatal depression.
Also true.
And became dependent upon alcohol.
Also true.
Tell us a little bit more about your story.
Oh, okay. How much time have we got? Briefly, yeah. So I had a really alternative upbringing, and I guess I'll think about the place that it led me to. So one of the key features of being raised in this religious cult was traveling a lot, which was great, but our parents didn't believe that we needed an education. So I came to pregnancy. I was pregnant at 22, had my son at 23, and I just moved to London, to the UK as well. Without an education to speak of, with not being one of the people who just, were aspirational about staying home and having kids, but literally not having the cards dealt to me. I envy the people that have the career and then make this logical break. I know there's challenges in that way too, but I always thought that for the guys that just made that plan and then went back to work, at least you had the thing to go back to. But I now know you guys all have to adapt and think about your work lives in a different way as well. But I guess for me, I didn't have a thing to go back to. So I was literally at the baseline and pregnant and thinking, how the fuck, babies, close your ears, how the hell do I make a life for myself? Because I'd been raised to think that I could have an impact in the world, and here I was, invisible. I think that's probably the most striking emotion that I remember of first having a child, was the feeling of invisibility. I would walk down the street, and it was partly, now I know that it was partly my doing. I wouldn't give eye contact to anyone. I would look at the floor, because I was like, don't look at me, don't look at me. And then the feeling would perpetuate of absolute invisibility and isolation. And I love what you're saying about talking about your mental health. I had to learn that the absolute hard way, that being visible and authentic about who we are is probably the single biggest thing that can make a difference in our lives. And then, like I said, how long have we got, right? But to round that off, what I ended up doing was educating myself. So I had this moment where I made a choice, and I made the secret deadline for myself. And there had been several occasions where I'd put my kids in danger, and I'd done very risky things for myself, just from a place of absolute hopelessness and despair. And I remember this day as if it was yesterday, and I looked up at the ceiling as I woke up, and I wanted the day to end before it had even begun. You know that day when you wake up at 6 or 7, and you're like, there are 14 hours to go before I get the break of sleep? How the fuck am I gonna get to 11 o'clock, much less 5 o'clock? Oh, sorry, there's a little one in the front. She's been here all day, right? Yeah. So I see. And so I made myself this secret deadline, which was I gave myself a year's deadline to end my life. That was what was going on in my head. And I thought within that year, the thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to learn, observe, and educate myself on what it was about those mums that were perfect and loved being a parent. I'm like, what is it that makes people happy? And I tried to educate myself. And by the end of that year, life wasn't perfect, but I found the trick to finding hope. And I realized that even from a neuroscience, education place at the moment, you can teach yourself to be happy. You can teach your mindset to actually achieve anything you want to do. And so I did a master's degree at night. I will not recommend this to people. I did a master's degree while raising 2 kids and working full time about an hour and a half away from my house, because I visualized what I wanted to be right now, which is having a 15 and a 12-year-old and having invested in myself enough to be making the difference that I want to make in the world now. So something about investing when they're young, even in the smallest ways, to help make a difference.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I'm clapping because I'm going to leave now. I'm clapping because I'm like, it's finished. Like I've got nothing to say now. I'm like, forget it.
It's not over till it's over.
Petra, you are now a psychotherapist. Would you say that your personal experience has helped you in regards to your clinical expertise?
Yes. I'm trying to go short and brief. 100%. I think we've all been to, well, helping professionals of some kind, and you get the ones that have the doctorate and all that great stuff, but they don't have the empathy or the human connection element, which actually makes you want to be in the room with them and trust them with your stuff. So I think being on the journey, now in hindsight, everything I've been through, it's kind of spooky. I keep doing that. It's kind of spooky because I'll have a client or a team or whoever I'm working with, and they'll tell me these stories of this thing that happened or this thing they've been through or what they had to challenge or that sort of thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I went through something similar and I felt it. But also we don't need to go through the exact same thing in order to be able to connect to the pain authentically, the thing that we've been through, because that's the trick that can help people feel seen, heard, listened to, and help move them forward. So yes, but it's hard to say, would I even be on this path had I not had all the stories that have gone on for me, right?
Yeah. I would like to delve into the working side just for a little bit. All three of you at some point have had to navigate the working world whilst trying to be the best mum you can. Any advice for mothers who are for one reason or another currently unemployed but want to get back to work?
But I had no idea when I was on the floor with my two kids and just everywhere and feeling shit, that I would be running my own business and doing keynotes internationally and doing the things that I'm doing. I didn't even have the capability to vision board that shit, right? I had no idea that I'd be on stage and doing the things that I'm doing. But what I did know is that I needed to get out of my comfort zone every single day in some way. So whether it was volunteering locally, whether it was talking to somebody that I was intimidated by and putting myself out there, there's an opportunity every single day to build your confidence, to network, to do the things, and take the opportunity, because that one leads to the next one and leads you to, you don't even know where you're gonna, don't limit yourself by dreaming small, right? Yeah. Just keep doing the next right thing.
We have come to the end of time. We've come to the end of the festival, haven't we? Oh my God. I am so sorry. I don't even think we've got time for questions, but hit these lovely ladies up on Instagram, find Petra's email, grab her outside, but they're about to close the doors on us, so I've got to go.
Turn the light.
Have a lovely time. Thank you.
Give it up for the last panel. Amazing.
Something that's more realistic.